I was passed 2 Imperial Knights model and were asked to repaint it into a red color theme Imperial Knights. Let's see what we can do about that.
My name is Frosty and I am an amateur painter trying to up my skills to the next level. Join me and let's go!
Alright, so these were the Imperial Knights model that were passed to me and I have to paint it in red. So these were very decently painted, otherwise they were not magnetized or even glued on. They were just blue tacked for easier transport. It's not that big of a problem and it works, and you can also just play around with it. Another new things that I am going to attempt on this model is the Melta or Flamer here. I think this is the thermal spear and also the Gatling cannon. I think I'm going to try to make it look like it's flaming red like OSL. I have to figure out about what I'm going to do about the flaming part. And one more thing is I don't have the decals for Imperial Knights. I'm going to have to think about whether I'm going to freehand this or try to find a decal. Otherwise, if I could not do that, I'm just going to leave it. That's it. Let's get to it.
I'm going to start with the shoulder pads using Zandridas as the base coat. And here is my harder and Steenbeck Infinity using the 0.5 needle. I mix it with a little bit of Vallejo airbrush thinner, which has already been diluted with 80% water. And we start with the airbrushing part. It took me several coats to achieve a very satisfying result. Now for the highlights, I use Vallejo Ivory. I like to test the consistency of the paints on my hands before spraying it on the models, just in case some mishap happens. At this point of time, I feel like the Zandridas base doesn't look right. So I painted the whole thing in ivory while figuring out what to shade with next. I decided on the new Citadel contrast line, the Frostheart. The best thing about this is I don't have to thin it using the airbrush. For the final highlights, I used a little bit of the Vallejo Air Dead White. Again, no thinning needed. And voila, the shoulder pads are done. And now let's attempt the OSL gun inspired by this guy on his Instagram. Let's start with the Vallejo Air Dead White to base it. Apparently there was some weird sticky thing that I didn't realize were there at first, so I had to remove it using the needle from my spoiled airbrush. And now I base it again with another new Citadel contrast line, the Magamadroth Flame. I mix around 70% Imperial yellow to the mix for the brighter parts. Multiple coats were needed as the orange is still wet, and I have to glaze the colors over because of how transparent yellow is in general. Now finally, I use pure Imperial yellow on the brightest part. For the burnt parts, I will use a sponge to dab using Moonfang Brown and Rhinoxide. Not recorded in the footage is an outside glaze using Mephiston Red. Using Rhinoxide for the darker parts. Now finally, using a brush, I mix Imperial yellow with 60% ivory for the glowing part. Now let's do the armor, starting with Varga Burgundy. For the highlights, I'm going to use Mephiston Red. For the final highlights, I'll be using the Wild Rider raid. Unfortunately, my memory card ran out and there were no footage of it.
Okay, so far it has been a whole day. It's almost 4 AM in the morning right now and I need a good rest. Most of it has gone really smoothly other than one mishap. I didn't realize that this gun here, one of the part has already been broken. When I was trying to fix the gun to snap some photos, this thing just went out. So what I have to do is to find the areas where the parts are broken and find some bits to glue it on and make sure that this gun can still move smoothly. I'll see you guys tomorrow and see what I can do next. Most probably I'm going to do the metallics and also edge highlight all the body armor. And don't forget, once I'm done with this, I still have to do another night. Most probably I won't be recording this in the footage, but I will still snap a photo of the completed model. Most probably. I'll see you tomorrow.
We start the morning with painting the trims using lead belcher. I glaze the metallics using Abaddon Black for the true metallic effect. Not shown in the footage is also a secondary highlight of Wild Rider raid. I add the brightest highlight using Runefang Steel. And here is a short footage of me doing edge highlights using Fire Dragon Bright.
Okay, we are almost done here and I just kind of get reminded halfway through while painting all these trims that the reason I hate painting Chaos Space Marines are because of all these trim lines here, all these metallic trims that I have to paint. It's really boring, just to be honest. So I hope I can finish this and get the other models done by tomorrow. Let's do this, come on, I can do it.
Let's start shading the trims with Null Oil Gloss. I also shade this tiny recess with Contrast Frostheart. The final part is adding rust with Nihilach Oxide.